Hello, hello, and welcome. Hello, hello. Hey, three people, what's up? Today we're going to be talking about tips for working with native youth. Whoa. Started quite promptly today. All of our tech is working. We'll just give it a few more seconds. Where are you guys tuning in from? Let me know in the comments. How's your day going? Anything exciting? Hello, Sophia. Whoo! Okay, we got a topic today, man. We're gonna be moving. And hello, Rainbow. Olympia, Washington. Sweet. You might hear some screaming kids in the background. There is currently a revolution being staged in my living room, which is just outside my bedroom door. We'll get started. We got a lot to talk about and a lot of good things. Thank you, everyone, for joining me here in the comments section. And welcome, 55 people. Today, again, we're going to be talking about tips for working with Native youth. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce myself. So hello and welcome. My name is Joshua Kake. My Kiowa name is Konguru Ka. On my mom's side, I'm Koegu. Kiowa from Oklahoma now is where our people are. On the KCA, Kiowa Apache, Comanche Reservation. And, yo, Anadarko, what's up, what's up? And I'm excited to be here with you guys. On my father's side, I am Tongan from the Kingdom of Tonga in the South Pacific. And I was born in New Zealand, in Aotearoa, so kia ora whānau, everyone tuning in from New Zealand. We always have a few. And I'm actually coming to you now, not from any of those places, but from my partner's territory, just outside of Santa Barbara. She is Chumash, and her band is Samala, and we are in their traditional village site called Kalawashak, which is the village of turtles. And right now it's called Santa Ynez. So we're just out here in the mountains in SoCal, and it is beautiful. I hope that you're enjoying the weather and the day at whatever time you're in right now. We got someone from Belgium. Whoa, international. Okay, so we're gonna get straight into this, team. I feel very passionately about working with youth and working with Native youth specifically. A little bit of background about what I do. So I told you who I am, and I am blessed to be able to come from those places because it gave me a trajectory to aim for. It gave me a path to follow, which led me to, again, do what I do. So I went to school in New Zealand, down in Wellington at Whitireia Polytechnic for outdoor adventure and facilitation. That's what I graduated in. And if you're like, what the heck is that? It's exactly what it sounds like. So we were out sea kayaking, we were out rock climbing, we were out whitewater kayaking, we were out like hiking, like multi-day like, expedition style hiking. And it was beautiful and it was awesome. And this was our class. And we learned things like land and sea navigation. We learned things like search and rescue tactics. We learned things like self and peer rescue tactics on the water, on the land. Radio communication skills, programming, all the way to like weather interpretation. It was intense. It was a lot. And while we're in this space and we're learning all of these things like on the fly and in the thick of things, in the mess, there was a beautiful like awakening that happened in me, and I realized that what I was doing was I was essentially getting paid, or working so that I could be paid to be myself. It was an incredible moment where, hey, I'm gonna be able to have a job where I can like be in and be Tongan, connected to the land and the sea at the same time. It was dope, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. What do I do with this? I want to know where to go. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, ooh, I want to work with Native youth. I want to work with Native youth, and I want them to feel like they have the same opportunities. So I started kind of putting together these plans in my head. And from the time that I was in school until I was about 25, so that was 3 years ago, I dedicated a lot of my spare time into buying gear from like REI and other outdoor gear suppliers, adventure gear suppliers, and then also creating a curriculum tailored specifically to Native youth based on an adventure-based learning or an ABL standard, and which is what I studied at school. And I thought it was awesome. I was like, yes, this is gonna be dope. Been able to implement this as we go along with the Native Wellness Institute, and also working in various companies like the Anasazi Foundation down in Arizona, and as well as guiding and working in rescue down in New Zealand. And so I've been able to kind of refine some of these skills, and it is from this lived experience that I bring to you some tips for working with Native youth today and working with youth in general. Because really, when we're talking about working with young people, the skills, as in the principles that are applied to the practices, are pretty general. And there is some nuanced space in there where I believe that they can be tailored specifically, the activities and the principles shared through the activity for each community, and that requires a pretty keen eye. So we'll be talking about how can we use that particular eye to refine the skill that we're trying to share, and how do we get to a place where we're able to create, as Robert would say, the access to the opportunity. Because that's really what it's all about, right? When we're working with youth, it's not so much trying to impose on them the life that we want them to live. It's more helping them find their way in this world, and setting them off in a good way. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So let's do this, man. Let's do this. As we get going, again, I thank you so much for adding into the chat here. I'm pointing where it is, but I'm mirrored in the screen, so wherever it's showing up, I think it's down here. Continue to join us. Your input is valid. It is needed, and I believe that we're here, so that we can share these things with one another. Again, the Native Wellness Institute giving us this wonderful opportunity to have this conversation. It's beautiful. It's saved on the Facebook page, most definitely, and on the YouTube channel of the Native Wellness Institute. Huge archive, huge media archive of indigenous wisdoms, insights to so many different parts of our lives. So what you're saying, right now, will be shown in those comments later. And so your voice, your influence is gonna echo through time and space. No surprise, right? We've been doing that since we showed up on this planet. So let's keep it going. Any questions, I will try to keep up in there. Sometimes I really do get like into what I'm saying, and I focus on the camera and try to engage with you as much as possible, but I will try to stay present in the comment section as well. So feel free to join me. Any thoughts, feelings, awakenings that you have as we go. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this. When we were traditionally speaking, in both my cultures, our children did learn and were educated. I was like, okay, yes, we know this. But to put it in more of a Western framework, and the reason why I say that is so that we can kind of define a little bit more about what that means. Our people were engineers, those who built long houses on the coasts, those who constructed teepees day in and day out, who weathered extreme storms from like the big old main track of the country where there were tornadoes and crazy wind and ice storms, to the coast where you had hurricanes, all sorts of things. Like, the structures that we built lasted the test of time, and they kept our people safe. That's an important thing. We did it without modern machinery. So architects, engineers, botanists, they knew the plants around them, and they were aware of their place in relation to the region in which they were traveling. And they were able to gather food sufficient for their needs, which is a beautiful thing. And it shows also a great interpersonal skill set as well, to be able to take what you need and not what you want, not to be able to take too much. So we were an industrious people. We were an intellectual people. We were a well functioning organism, each an individual, like band, clan, of these various tribes. So how did we get there? How did we get there? Well, we got there through, various forms of education. Now, who educated people, man? What was this all about? The community educated the young people. Now, when I say that, I don't mean everybody in the community got to speak to every little child and tell them what to do and how to live their life. No way, man. No way. We had specific people who we sent our children to learn specific things from. I was like, okay, yes, that makes sense, right? With hearing that, okay, we're all on board. Now, in order for that to happen, what that speaks to is an abundance of medicine, an abundance of purpose, and an awareness of oneself. Do you, in your own community, family, and in yourself, believe that those are defining characteristics? Could your community be defined by that? Could your family be defined by that? Could you be defined by those characteristics? An abundance of purpose, like self-aware, because it's no small thing. And whether the answer is yes, whether the answer is no, it's fine. It's fine. If it is no, I encourage you to look inside and let's start letting go of some of those things that are not helping us be in those places. If the answer is yes, keep going, because there's deeper levels to reach, greater power to obtain, and there's more opportunity to share for all of us. So it's important to I believe, start there. Are we aware of what our medicine is? Are we able to competently and confidently share that medicine with other people? Whether that be people from our own tribe or people from other tribes who have, other belief systems, other languages. It's important. It's important to be able to make our teachings. I want to be clear. To not pan-indigenous, but make our teachings applicable to the people in which we are working with, because there is no such thing as pan-indigenous, right? Wisdom belongs in places. Wisdom was born out of spaces, and it was gifted to certain people by Creator for the purpose of building up those people. Now, why are we given anything? I believe, from what I've been told in my communities, we are given things for the purpose of giving them away. And so when we receive those things from those people and places, we should honor them and remember where they came from. Okay. Going on. So being able to share the medicine that we have with other people who might be outside of our belief system and social norms is incredibly important, right? And that's 100% a part of what it means today to work with Native youth. Now, traditionally, when we would send our youth to these other people to learn these various skills, it was in preparation for a greater goal, which was to help them learn what they need to know and live in such a way that empowers the community. You empower the one, and by doing so, you lift everyone. When we are working with youth, Native youth, is that the main purpose of our interaction? Or is it to get through the day? Or to make sure that they listen to everything that we say? It's important to be aware of the why to our what. When we understand why we are doing something, what to do about that becomes easy. And how to do it will always come. Like, those things will manifest themselves too. There's a lot of stories I could share about my experiences with this, working in wilderness therapy, working in guiding, but not important. So as we're moving through this, and as things are coming into your mind, please continue to share it in the chat. Let me just take a second, and I don't want to miss something. Awesome. We got some good things coming on here. Antitheta says fasting. We got a couple of, one says summer camp rotates kids every 2 weeks, teaches them how to live the old way, housing, teaching skills, live to put up teepees, chop wood, cook food, storytelling, games, crafts. Yes, yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, yes. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, so we're covering a lot of things really fast, and I appreciate what you put in the comments. If you're watching now or in the future, please, check out those comments and join along with us in this conversation. We know there's a lot of people who access these power hours for different reasons. I want to touch on something that Robert shared with me. He's a great mentor, a great friend, and someone that I look up to very much. And one thing that he shared with me is this. I mean, he shares it everywhere. He doesn't share it with a lot of people, but it's this idea that youth need access to opportunity. It is the difference between healing from intergenerational trauma, historical traumas, and carrying on those cycles and negative impacts of intergenerational and historical trauma. And I would take it a step further, and I would like to add as well that for our youth, specifically youth in Indian country, no matter what community they come from and whatever socioeconomical status they hold in relation to the area that they live in, all youth experience the negative and harmful impacts of intergenerational and historical trauma. I want to start there. Secondly, I want to say that for our youth, because of intergenerational and historical trauma, we are in need of repeated access to opportunity. And so what that means for me is for youth, people who are working with youth in Indian country, whether you are indigenous and know your ancestry or not, doesn't matter. We have to be the type of people who, again, can competently and confidently navigate space to create genuine access to great opportunity for our youth. And taking it back to something that we talked about at the beginning, this requires ourselves to be there first, because we cannot invite anyone to a place in which we are not already in. So are we aware of our medicine? Do we know how to share that mana with the others around us? I'm going to continue to touch back on this, but we're going to move on. So how do we create access? And what opportunities should we be creating for these individuals? We're going to be breaking into some pretty intense interpersonal skills and communication types, or communication skills, for the next little while. And this is what I want to share with us here. I don't know what that beeping is, but if you can hear it, I think we just leveled up. Okay, so first thing is first. When working with Native youth, it's most important, the most important, there we go, thing for us to keep in mind is that we have to be able to play. Why do we have to be able to play? Well, the reason for that being is because children play when they feel safe. Children play when they feel safe. Let me reach out for another teaching that I have gathered from a great mentor and someone that you've seen on these power hours a number of times. I've probably shared this same teaching with you a number of times, and it is this. Gene Tagabon says that when we were born into this world, we were a little tiny baby, those wrinkly, farting, pooping, toothless little beautiful babies. And one day we will be an old person, an elder, if we are so lucky to be named and known by our community as such. Right now, no matter where we're at on our journey, we're going along on the cycle, right? So we start here at the top of our circle as a baby. We make our way through, experience this beautiful life. We get to the end as an elder, close to that source of life from whence we came, and we're respected and loved in the same way. Like when we're an elder, people might change our diapers again. Who knows? Who knows? So as we're exploring this beautiful life, we gotta remember. It's important to remember to heed the words of Gene Tagabon and remember that baby that we were still inside of us, and that elder that we will be is inside of us too. And so we gotta do things, and we gotta think things, we gotta say things that honor every stage of our life as we're going. So, leveled up again. Hey, okay. So, as we're moving in this life, and we're respecting that child, and we're respecting that elder, let's be kind to both of them. Let's play. Let's feel safe in our surroundings. And by that I mean this: when we have to be serious, when we have to be stern, when we have to be kind of to the points and on the line, we are in a circumstance in which we are not able to freely express ourselves in the ways that we normally do. For example, if you see someone at work who does well under pressure, and they're out there, they're delegating tasks, they're making things happen, they're beating deadlines, and they're getting everyone paid. Like, those people are awesome, right? Do you know much about their hobbies or family life? Are you able to explore those parts of their lives while you're in that space? No way, man. You're in trying to make things happen. When I was working in the outdoor industry, we explored a lot of what it means to build a team dynamic. And in that space, we would define that as either peaking or performing. And in that space, it's go time. It is go time. But we want to be in like the forming and the norming space. We want to be in a place where we're able to take it down a notch and bring it to a level where we're all able to see each other as equal. What you say matters. What I say matters. Because when we're in those peaking and performing spaces, someone's got to be in charge. Someone's got to be in charge. And someone's out there, like that person that you know works well under pressure, out there calling shots, making things happen. We don't want to be there when we're working with youth unless we have to for safety reasons. So how can we get to a place where we're able to see each other as people? Where even if we're 30 or 40 years older or 10 years older and have a college degree and an established family and homeowners or whatever, how do we get to a place where we're on the same level and the youth that we're working with see us as equals and we see them as equals? Do that by playing, where everyone is working for a common goal, following the same rules, and yielding results by sorry, I was gonna say the measure of their actions, but that's not true. Yielding the same results by the measure of their effort. And I don't know if you've played tag with too many 14 and 15-year-olds recently, but that's one way to level the playing field for sure. So playing with youth is an important thing to be able to help even out that power dynamic and create a space where we can have genuine conversation to be able to talk about the things that we're there to talk about. Whether those topics are college prep, whether those topics are respecting women, whether those topics are learning traditional values, whether those topics are, I don't know, personal hygiene, man. You can do anything, but creating that space first is key to opening up like a genuine conversation between you and other people. Okay, we have a question here in the comment section, and it is, what about in a classroom setting? Mickey Moore, we will most definitely be talking about that. Yes, I'll continue that, and we'll get into this. We're just kind of starting to scratch the surface of what it means to play. But I guess what we've been discussing is why we play. Now we're going to be talking about how we can play and what we play. Okay, cool. So how these games are played with our youth is also incredibly important too. And the reason why I believe they're so incredibly important is because sorry, just to notice a comment, active listening and talking go hand in hand 100%. Thank you for that awesome input. The reason why it's so important is because it's one of the ways that we traditionally educated our people, right? And so if we were to name, I believe, some of the key ways in which we chose to educate our young ones in a traditional sense, pre-post contact, it was through games, stories, and chores. I view these as the kind of pillar of our educational system, and the Indigenous 20-somethings project, we all view these as pillars of the educational system, which is why when we get together, it is, essential to our work. So realizing that, playing games not only levels the playing field and helping us establish a more even power dynamic, but also it's an educational tool. How do we do that, and what does that mean? The way that we can play games is by playing games with the intention of sharing some skill. So what we're doing is we're suggesting to the mind, like telling a story, showing someone a painting, as we're playing these games. And as they listen to us, as they play along with us, and as they accept the teachings that we're sharing, then we all begin to fall more in line with one another. In that space, we are actively listening to each other. And as we actively listen to each other, like Rainbow said, we become more alive to one another. So that bond is strengthened, which means the capacity for us to be able to do good in those spaces is also strengthened. This is what a safe and brave space is, which is what we should be aiming to do when we're working with youth. Again, definitely part of the why. Okay, so we're playing games with the intention of sharing some skill to empower the individual for the purpose of building the people. And how that can look is really limited only to your imagination. And what is done, about that really again is limited only to your imagination. Let me share just one game that we did in person and one game that we do online now. Okay, so excuse me. One game that we used to play in person when I20SP and the Indigenous 2070s project, which is a project of the Native Wellness Institute, would go into communities is we would cut this like one pool noodle in half, and we would take a blindfold, and it's kind of intense to blindfold someone, but once we built the trust, we're able to do that. We blindfold an individual, we put a rope circle around them, and then we play a game where we teach the concept of counting coup, or part of the concept of counting coup. Now, counting coup, for those people who practiced it and for whatever word you used in your various cultures, it was a way to mark the enemy and like rob them of the sense of wanting to do harm to you, like kind of like, bah, like stamp of authority, final word kind of thing. Traditionally, this could have been like if someone's family or community wronged me, like steal their children and raise them as my own, give them names, bring them into my tribe, make them a part of who my. So if that like community hated us, well now they can't hate us anymore because their kids are part of us too, which means their bloodline has been righted. Cha-ching, coup. Another way that we count a coup could be like going into an enemy camp, stabbing your lance and riding out without being touched. They'd be like, oh geez, that guy's psycho, I don't want to ride against him. But in today's world, counting coup is being sober. In today's world, counting coup is like graduating high school, man. Like in today's world, counting coup is having like financial freedom and being financially literate. Whoa! In today's world, counting coup is being on time to places because it's so socially acceptable. Be on end time, which for some reason means you're late, which isn't true because end time's on time. So what does it mean to count coup in today's world? It means to be successful. And what does it look like to be successful? Well, any way that looks like to you, any way that you want to share with these youth. Well, how can we teach them ways to be successful? Well, we do that through this game. So blindfold the youth. He has these pool noodles. He's in this rope circle standing in the middle. We say, we got 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes. Now, if you get touched 3 times, then you're out. You got 3 times. And so he's got this blindfold on and his pool noodles, and everyone else is on the outside of the circle. And they run in and try to touch him and get out of the circle. But if they run in and they touch him and they make it outside of the circle, that's 1 point for everyone else. However, if they touch him and he smacks him with the pool noodle, then that person has to leave. Touch didn't count. And so he's out there like flinging these pool noodles like a ninja. It's freaking fun, man. And it's awesome. It's super hilarious. And these kids are like getting smacked. It's like, well, bah, but it doesn't hurt. It's just a pool noodle. And at the end of the game, we talk about, how did that feel for you to be blindfolded? Oh, it was intense, man. And how did that feel for everyone else? Oh, it was fun. It was kind of hard. It's kind of scary getting like a noodle swung at you. Kind of explore and unpack some of those things. And then we talk about, what it means to count coup, because that's the purpose of our game, right? You're counting coup on that one little warrior in the middle. Another way you could take that game is, how did it feel to see without your eyes? Like, what the heck? Kids are like, whoa, didn't even know. You only have your ears, you only have your hands to be able to feel and see the world around you. Why is it important to see with more than just your eyes? And what skills can we learn from doing that in real life, you know? That's just one game. That's one game. So that's our counting coup game. And then we'll go on to like, boom, pandemic, hit us all. What do? We go online. So we're here and now we're not in person. Dang it. All of our games are in-person games. But, we kept our why in mind. We knew that we're working with youth. And so we created, as a team, the Native Wellness Institute, new games to play online with youth. And it was super fun, man. It was super cool. Here's one game that I absolutely love. And I believe that it was Rob that shared this game with us. I mean, he's probably not the one who invented it, but he was the one that I learned it from. So, again, honoring those things in the places in which they came from. So, this game is a scavenger hunt. And we'll do like a 50-second, 1 minute, 30-second kind of thing. And usually we'll play this game and we'll give them 3 objects to find. 3 objects to find. And so, and we do, sorry, not 3 objects to find necessarily, but 3 things to find. Okay, so what this could look like is, all right, so we're going to give you guys 50 seconds. And you're going to find something that represents power. You're going to find something that represents love. And you're going to find something that represents the future. Power, love, and the future. I set my timer on my phone. Go! Start playing the guitar. People come back. And actually, yeah. You know what? Let's actually do that. What am I talking about? Let me get my timer up here. We're gonna do this since we're all virtual. ATM. 50 seconds. And let me put this in the chat right now. We're gonna find something that represents passion, humility, and vision. Okay, I put it into the chat there. You're gonna have 50 seconds, and in your area, you're gonna find something that represents passion, humility, and vision. 50 seconds. Our time starts now. Go. Oh, 5 seconds. Time. Now, I can't have everyone on screen with me, but please put in the chat what it is that you got to represent passion, humility, and vision. Awesome. They're coming in, team. We have red nail polish, daring greatly book, a photo of my son's graduation, MMIW, expression of loss and pain. We all come together in a good way. Okay, keep them coming. What are the 3 things that you gather in your area to represent passion, humility, and vision? As you're typing that in, I'll continue to explain a little bit more about this game. I was intentional with the 3 words that I chose to use: passion, humility, and vision, because I believe that these 3 attributes are needed in order to be a great leader. And here we are talking about working with Native youth, tips for working with Native youth. That 100% involves great leadership. And so as we expressed these attributes in the chat here, I asked you to go out and find these 3 objects that represented those things. I hope you're able to do that. If you were able to do that and willing to join me in that, then you have 3 objects that you found right where you are that represent passion, humility, and vision. What that means to me, and what I hope it comes to mean to you too, is that you will be able to find the things that you need right where you are, every time, all the time, no exception. It's one of the teachings that I have been gifted from my community. Everything that you need is always right where you are. Beautiful saying, and it's wonderful to hear over and over again. But it's true, and we got to live from that space. And so playing this game with them helps the people that we're working with live from that space. Everything that you need is always right where you are. If I were to ask any three words, if I said past, future, and present, you'd probably be able to find those things. Could we be able to work the importance of understanding, being tied to those three concepts in with youth? 100%. 100%. These games, like stories, can be adapted to be able to meet the needs of so many people in so many different circumstances. So again, playing games, super important. It evens out that power dynamic, brings us closer together. It creates a space where we can actively listen to each other. Creates access to an opportunity to actively listen to each other. And in that place, we all grow up together. Super, super, super important. Okay, I want to share. A little something as well that I've learned over my time in working with youth, and it is this: that sometimes when we're working with youth, we tell personal stories, which is fine. I don't want to deter anyone from telling a personal story to you. I feel like there's so much good in that space. But there is a warning that I would like to share. I don't know if warning is a good word. No, I feel like that has the wrong intention behind it. There's some insight that I would like to share, just based on my own experience. And I would invite you to challenge my insight that I'm going to share with you here, unpack it, and test it. See if it works for you as well. It might not work for everyone, but it is this. When we are sharing with people our own personal stories, the way that we tell our story is incredibly important, right? Because again, storytelling, along with games and chores, I believe are one of the pillars of the foundation upon which we educated our people, or what made up the education of our people. So storytelling is incredibly important. And when considering a story, again, considering the why. Why am I telling this story to this person? If the answer is it's a good story, that's a good start. But why are we telling the story to this person? That matters. That matters. Once we've established why we're telling that story to this person, then we can start to explore how we tell the story to this person. And once we've considered and explored how we're going to tell the story to this person, we can consider what we're going to invite from this person by telling the story. What? Yes. Our way of being is constantly inviting others to be that way too. When we're in a position where we've created a safe and brave space and we're telling stories to youth, what we say, how we say it, why we say it, matters very much. Matters very much. And so to paint this picture a little bit more, and as we dive into this idea of storytelling to youth, let me say this. On a long drive one time with Rob out to work, he was super kind in sharing some insight with me, and he said this to me. He said, people, motivational and inspirational speakers, one will build up the people, and one will kind of use themselves as an example and say, just because I did it, now you can do it too, which isn't necessarily true in every circumstance. And when he said that, I was like, oh yes, everything that is inside of me like agrees with you on that. Like, just because I made it out of the hood or the reservation, like, you can too. No, that's not true. Because although we have the opportunity to choose, if no one's ever been presented the access to like the access to those opportunities, and again that repeated access to those opportunities, then expecting someone to change or choose something different from the only thing they see is a long shot. Is a long shot. So he said, as we're sharing with people, we gotta build up the people as we go, and I really like that. I really like that. Another way to paint that picture and to share that expression is this: that we should never let ourselves get in the way of a good story. Now, I had some awesome mentors when I was about 19, 20 years old. when I was back home in New Zealand. I was struggling with a lot of things in my life, needed help, and my friends who were my peer advisors, yeah, in this program that I was in, they were they were incredible, man. Like it felt like they knew everything to say, you know, all the right things to say at the right time, and they were out there like, hey man, you can do this, you can do this. Here, try it this way. Um, why don't you write a letter, you know, to your family, who your wife that you don't know and your children you don't have, and talk to them about the things that you hope for them. You know, if you have trouble seeing yourself in the future, why don't you do that? Another thing that they would say is like, um, they talk about the importance of physical, mental, and spiritual and emotional well-being, and how they're all tied together. And they would do it in a way that like really spoke to me, and I thought it was awesome. At the end of the program, I was like, yo, this is crazy. I don't want to leave. I really feel like what's happening here is kind of special, and I'm worried that when I leave this place, I won't find this type of love in other places. And I realized that they had kind of become a crutch for me, or I chose to make them a crutch for me. There we go. That's a better way to put that. And they were like, "You can do it, dude. You can do it because we all did it." And I had no idea that any of them had had gone through the same program that I went through as a young man, and it blew my mind. So we're all crying like, "Oh my gosh, I love you. I'll see you guys later." And the reason why I share that is because I see that happening a lot in spaces where we're working with youth. You know, the kind of I've been where you've been situation. And let me tell you how I made it out of this. Where the men that I was being mentored by at that time, young men, they weren't too much older than I was, had been in the same place that I had been. But they never shared that. Instead, they chose to focus on not their story, but the principles that would help me on my journey. And that is what I mean by not allowing us, or not allowing ourselves to get in the way of a good story. I believe that the power of the stories that we choose to share with you are found in the principles that live in those stories. Our journey along to those principles, they matter. They matter more to us than they matter to the individual we're sharing them with. Let me say that again. The journey that we had to take to learn the principles, to heal, to overcome, to empower, they matter. They matter more to us than they do to the people in which we are sharing the story with. So how we tell the story is incredibly important. Why we tell the story is incredibly important. And what story we choose to share is incredibly important. There's a lot to be said about that. I feel like we're in a space though where I can trust your mind and heart to make sense of that. So I'm not going to talk too much more about that. But we've touched on storytelling, we've touched on games. Let me share how I feel about chores. And I'm not talking about cleaning your room kind of chore. I'm talking about looking on the inside and scraping out all that stuff that is not good for us. Because you are a beautiful soul. You are an important person. And I know that because you're alive. And if you weren't alive, like so many of my ancestors before me, I know they're important because they lived. See, those who draw breath are gifted the opportunity to live another day. I hear a lot of people in a lot of places say, I'm grateful for the gift of life. It is 100% a gift. Everything that we have in art comes from someone or something else. Well, what does that mean? Well, the air that you're breathing right now, scientifically we know it comes from the trees and the oceans. We don't need to get into the process of how that works, but we know that it works, and we know that it happens. So the air that we're breathing has been recycled since the beginning of time. And the plant nation in our water helps us. Plant nation speaks in the language of service. The water speaks in the language of love. The sun rises every day. Well, it doesn't rise. Our planet rotates, and so we come into view of the sun. Doesn't matter. The point is that as we're in the time of our daylight, the sun gives us needed vitamins to be able to allow our bodies to thrive in the atmosphere and environment of Earth. Like, what the heck? The moon is a softer light which reflects the greater light in such a way that it indicates to our body on a cellular level that it is time to rest. And it gives us the opportunity, access to the opportunity, and permission to sleep, to recharge. And again, in that sleep, our body and all of its biological systems are like recharging, getting ready for the next day. You wake up, go again. All the while drawing on that breath. While as we're moving throughout the day, we're eating from the plant nation and from our animal nation too. The reason why I'm sharing these things is because it's true. If you're experiencing the gift of life, everything that you have and are was given to you by someone or something else. So what do we have? We have choice. That's what we have. Something that was gifted to us, I believe, from Creator and our peoples, and can never be taken away by anyone. So that is the one thing that we have. And all of these other things, all these other aspects of our lives are brought about by other people, other things. Why? Why have those things been given to us? Because you are worthy of those things. That's why. Now we go back to choice. If we are worthy of only the best that this life has to offer, and the world and everything that is in existence has chosen its purpose to be your success, okay, now we have a pretty good idea as to why we should be letting go of things that do not serve us. Why we should be stepping more into the medicine, mana, and power that is our birthright. And why it is so important that we choose to give good things to those who are coming behind us, as in the youth. Okay. This is what I want to say about chores. The negative and harmful impacts of intergenerational historical trauma are real. And they are continuing to hurt our youth today. I have seen it in traveling to many communities throughout the world. I have seen it in the way that they shy away from saying their name in groups of other youth. I have seen it in the way that they choose to stay in abusive relationships. I have seen it in the ways that they willingly give themselves to addiction. This crap's gotta stop. And we're the people to help that stop. Have you done that work in yourself, those who are watching this? Have you given away the things that don't honor you? Are you trying to be aware of those things in real time as others continue to invite you into spaces you know you should not be in? Because you're better than that. Because you deserve more. If the answer is no, then we got work to do. We gotta let go of those things. And the reason why we're talking about this in terms of tips for working with Native youth is because our way of being invites them to be that way. And so if we haven't given those things away, then we cannot ask them to give those things away. It will be beyond you. It will be outside of your sphere of influence. I don't know any other way to say this in the English language other than you cannot ask that of them. And they're gonna know it. And it doesn't matter what you say, because they'll feel it. So, in country, man, we got work to do. As we're doing this work, as we are performing these chores for the purpose of building up the individual to empower the community, be gentle with yourself. Understanding how, why colonization, colonialism happens, helps us to be able to create a link to what's going on. And yeah, it's tough to talk about those things. It's hard and it's sad to feel them. But you know what happens when we do those things? So he says it all the time. Many of the other trainers do as well with the Native Wellness Institute. We define what it is that we need to get over. Because the phrase get over it, yeah, we need to get over it. But before we get over it, we got to know what it is. So figure it out. Find out what's going on the inside. We don't have enough time. I got like 10 minutes left. But figure it out. What is stopping you? And continue to challenge those things too, man. Like as you're thinking about it, like we're probably old enough. You know, our prefrontal cortex is fully developed now. Let's critically think about this stuff. Well, if I woke up earlier, I'd probably be able to accomplish more in my day. Okay, wake up earlier. Set an earlier alarm. I had trouble waking up. You go to sleep late? Yeah. What's keeping you up? Could it be maybe you're in survival mode? Could it be maybe you feel anxiety? Or you drink too much coffee? Like, let's figure it out. What is it? What are the things that we need to give away in order to be better so that we can invite others to be in that same place too? Okay. Here is a couple of tools that we can use in real time to give us feedback, and so that we can gauge, self-correct, and move towards self-mastery in the skill set of moving with purpose, living with purpose, and honoring ourselves as the gifts we are. Here's one. The good that you do should do you good too. The good that you do should do you good too. So if you are feeling burnt out after loving up on other people, things need to change. The good that you do should do you good too. That's tool number one that I would like to share. Now, this is something that I use, again, in real time. Our team, when we get together, we like after a workshop or after just spend time together. That was awesome, man. How are you feeling? After saying that's awesome, love that. How are you feeling? 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 It's important to know how we're feeling. I feel drained. Wow. We just did a lot of good work in there. I wonder why you feel drained. Was our head in another place? Did we want a different outcome and felt kind of let down by how it ended? Like, why are we feeling drained? The good that we do should do us good too. Helps us be aware of our current state. The next thing that I would like to say is this. Do what you feel is right in the moment that you feel it's right to do it, and everything's going to work out. Do what you feel is right in the moment you feel it's right to do it, and everything's going to work out. Does that mean that you're always right? No freaking way. That is not what that means at all. But what it does mean is that as we continue to apply that practice that principle, then we will be able to refine our skill set, and we'll get better as we go. For example, my son yesterday, 3 years old, came in and he was like, "Oh, sorry," and he chewed a power cord. His face seemed pretty with it. He said that he wasn't shocked, so it wasn't plugged in. But he chewed a power cord. Like, this is not a practice we want to be getting into. So, in keeping with that principle, I did what I thought was right in the moment. I felt it was right to do it. I was like, "Son, we do not chew on power cords. Give me that. Why did you chew on this power cord?" You know, and it kind of provoked these responses from him that I didn't necessarily want. He said, "I'm sorry." And he got flustered and he had difficulty expressing his thoughts and even just being able to think clearly. I said, "Why?" He said, "Why? Why? 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 Why?" Like, "Why did you do this?" I said, "Because." "Because why?" Because why? See, his mind wasn't able to get what was going on. He was afraid because he upset me, felt like he let me down. I'm not sure what, complex little feelings his tiny brain was trying to comprehend, but his 3-year-old head was not able to be in the conversation. So I did what I felt was right in the moment I felt it was right to do it. Did it yield the response that I would have liked? Did it give us an opportunity? Did it create an access to an opportunity to learn from the situation? No, it did not. So was that helpful? No, it was not. But I know that now. So how do I refine that process the next time it comes up? How can I speak to my son in a way that we can seek understanding together, learn and grow. See, that's what I mean. Do what you feel is right in the moment you feel it's right to do it. And everything will work out. Keep going. Figure it out. You know, just try, fail, then succeed. Then succeed. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to say is this. The last tool that I want to give is this. So we have, oh shoot, I guess another tool that we could use is everything that you need is always right where we are. Like the game that we were playing earlier. Everything that you need is always right where we are. So we have a few tools in our toolbox, and the last thing that I want to share is this. If we are growing up in spite of our former selves, or in spite of other people, or just in spite in general, then part of that growth is not real. Whoa, let me say that again. If we're growing up in spite of anything, ourselves, other people, part of that growth is not real. Not helpful, does not serve you. It does not speak to the person that you are, the gift and the beautiful being that you are meant to become. So by that, I mean this. Let me paint this picture. So let's say, for example, I'm an alcoholic, and it's ruining my kids' lives. It's ruining my relationships all across the board, both with my partner and my friends and family. And it's just terrible, man. Like, can't keep enough money in the house to pay bills. We're going downhill. Well, finally it gets through to my head that alcohol is hurting me. It's within my power to give up. And so I give it up and I never drink. And one of the reasons as to why I do not drink anymore is because I hate who I was when I drank. Part of that growth is not real. So let me put it to you this way. Let me challenge this. Can you write down these things? Don't have enough time to write them down. But again, our power hours are saved on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. So the Native Wellness Institute will have this in our video archive. Please write them down, use them. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So if I'm never drinking again because I hate who I was when I drank, I don't ever want to be that person again. All right, like we're doing something good, but is the good that we're doing us good too? Let me pose it to you another way. Wouldn't it be better if I chose not to drink anymore because I wanted to be better? Because I wanted more for myself. Because I understood who I was. And wouldn't it be better if I didn't drink anymore for those reasons, but also chose to love that person who did drink like that? Because that person needs love, man. And that person didn't go anywhere. Still in there. You can't go at war with your own spirit. That type of conflict is crazy, man. And again, if we're at war with ourselves, we will invite that conflict from the people that we're around because our way of being invites others to be that way. You are loved by everything that is in existence. You are beautiful. You are powerful. Live like it. Act like it. For those of you who work with Native youth, please be aware of who you are, what you invite, and why you choose to be in those places. You don't know those things. Please figure it out. Because our youth, they need that now. Right now. And they needed it right then. And they're gonna need it in the future too. So this change that we're chasing right now, it is freaking possible, man. Our dreams are big. They are ambitious. Let's do it. Let's get after this. I hope that you take something away from this that helps you in your walk. For those of you who are older, it is not my place to teach you. These are gifts from the life that I have lived, and they have helped me in my walk, and I, again, hope that you receive them in the same spirit. If you are younger than 28 years old, this is 100% a teaching. Take it. Take it and freaking run with it, man. Do better. Come on, let's go. Let's get this. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, we will continue these power hours. The Native Wellness Institute is going to be continue to put on these power hours every weekday, 12 to 1. Share them with your friends, man. Get amongst it. And thank you so much for joining us in the comment section. Thank you so much for giving of your time and your effort. Time is the most precious commodity that we have as people. It's one thing we cannot get back, and it is the one thing we cannot stop giving. And so for you to spend time with us, we greatly appreciate it. So go on your merry way, be powerful, and be loved. You are the personification of all that is good in this world. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.